Hey, everybody, this is Jimmy. Welcome back to another episode of our Meet the Candidate series for Cambridge City Council and Cambridge School Committee. My guest right now is Ayah Al-Zubi, and she is running for Cambridge City Council. She is a first-time candidate. Welcome to the show, Ayah, and please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for Cambridge City Council.
Thank you, Jimmy, and I love the energy. Hello, everyone. My name is Ayah Al-Zubi, and yeah, I'm a first-time candidate. It's a little bit of background about myself. I immigrated with my family at a young age from Jordan and grew up moving around a lot. I never really had a place I called home, and it wasn't actually until I came to Cambridge that I realized and felt the power of community and community building. And as someone who's done work predominantly in sports, education, and immigration advocacy, I recognize the power that we have in using these unique tools and making a difference in our communities. So that's a bit background about who I am. I've also taught hundreds of students on confidence and leadership building skills. So I am someone who believes in the power of young people, and especially when we take the time to invest in them.
Great. And now you recently graduated from Harvard, is that correct?
You got it. Yeah, back in May, actually.
Oh, great. So how was that experience? Pretty good?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Definitely learned a lot. There's a lot of knowledge that we can always gain.
Great. So tell us, why are you running for Cambridge City Council?
So I'm running for Cambridge City Council. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people are pretty disillusioned with politics, whether it's the national level, whether it's the state, or even local level, especially as a young person. We are now recognizing that there are a lot of voices that are often neglected in political spaces or don't have the same level of access to political engagement, whether it's communities like young people or low-income residents, whether it's people of color, or folks who just don't have the capacity to engage. I'm someone who wants to represent those people, especially when it comes to issues like housing or economic viability as well.
Great. And tell us, you've been living in Cambridge for a while. What do you think the city is doing really well, and what do you think we could improve upon?
Yeah, so one thing that I really think sticks out to me when I think of Cambridge is our climate justice work has been incredible. We just recently passed the Green New Deal, which is really pushing on reducing our emissions in Cambridge, especially for our large commercial developments, and also recognizing that we can make the opportunity to build green jobs for folks and help shift young folks into those jobs as well. I think that's probably the biggest thing that sticks out to me, especially when we think about as young people and in general how we can continue to make sure that we can slow down the climate crisis. One thing that I think about, though, that I really do believe we could spend a lot more time on is working on making sure we invest more in our homeless community and folks that don't have the ability to have access to basic needs like shelter, like food, or even just a job. So especially with Cambridge being one of the more wealthier cities in the Northeast region, I do think that we can take the time to really concretely think about how we can help support those communities.
Mm-hmm. So what would your top 3 to 5 priorities be if you were to be elected on the Cambridge City Council?
Yes, I'm so glad that you asked this question because one thing that's important to me is education. As I mentioned, I've done a lot of work in education. And right now, the City Council allocates the largest budget to the school committee and district, but the only bridge that serves between the school committee district and the City Council is the mayor, who serves as the chair of the school committee. Mm-hmm. And as someone who's done educational work, this for me is absolutely not enough. There's a lot more we can do. And so going into this, I really want to help create a space for young people that we can actually take the time to invest on their needs and actually make steps into how we can work with school committee members and the district, the superintendent, while bridging us together on issues that also young people face and their families face. So that's probably the biggest priority. Mm-hmm. Other ones include things like creating a fare-free bus one. I know the MBTA is quite a controversial topic on the state level as well. There's so much work that we can be doing to enhance our MBTA, and that is something that we can help in conversations with, but that is something that currently the City of Boston and City of Cambridge are working on. I'm someone who believes in making sure that we build the infrastructure for bike lanes while also being intentional about making sure we're having the community conversations depending on the neighborhoods that these bike lanes are being created. Because each neighborhood is different and every community is going to react differently with the needs of how cars go by, how pedestrians go by, because one lane could make all all that much of an impact. And as someone who believes we need that infrastructure, we do also need to make sure that we are making this in the most productive way as possible. And then lastly, probably as a tenant, as a renter here in Cambridge, I think we can do a lot more for building a space where we can work on things like tenants' rights to counsel and also assistance support in case of emergency needs. Right now, the biggest form of homelessness is transitional homelessness. It's when folks face some sort of crisis that actually does not allow them to continue making sure they're keeping up with their shelter. So this is something that's important to me as well that I want to look into.
When you mentioned the city council, the mayor being the only liaison from the city council to the school committee, are you suggesting then maybe more city councilors have more direct involvement with the school committee? Is that what you mean? More interface with the council and the school committee, not just the mayor?
Yes, absolutely. So that city councilors also know what's going on in our education system and understand that a lot of the issues that we talk about on city council are issues that our young people and families face, our educators face. And not only that, but like, what would it look like to have a youth commission in Cambridge? Because we don't currently have one.
A youth commission, yeah. So obviously, high school students, college students, even junior high students could be involved, at least put in their 2 cents about what's happening.
Exactly. And it can empower them to actually step into politics and recognize they have a voice and they have the capability to actually learn about what's going on and how they can make a difference.
Well, be careful, because if you start getting the junior high involved, they'll be coming up after you. You'll be like an old timer, and they'll be coming up and say, I want Ayah's job."
There you go. There you go. All the more, all the merrier. Young people really have the energy and the ability to sit down and ask the questions that a lot of us don't ask in politics. So,
Well, it's pretty well established that the people on the ground where these issues really affect them often have the most insight into the issue, because they live there, whatever the level is, residents or businesses or whatever. They just have insight into that, which brings up two questions. Are you open? You seem pretty open. Are you open to collaborating with, listening to the community around those issues that you talked about, around transportation and around housing, around homelessness? Are you pretty flexible in that respect?
yeah, I'm glad you see me as open. I like to think that I am. As someone who wants to be a representative for the community, I'm someone who recognizes what kind of representative would I be if I don't take the time to listen
Mhm.
to the community members,
Right.
especially when it might be on a controversial issue. The reality is that people face things in different ways, and as long as we come together to really understand why we think the way we do, then we can make progress together. So absolutely, I always welcome people's thoughts.
Right. I ask that question to everybody, and everybody
Yeah.
always says yes. The reason the question is there is because some people, some of the residents in the city felt like a little bit, that they weren't informed well enough around some of the issues of the transportation issues, the housing issues, and they want to be at the table or at least know what's going on. So that's why I raised it. And all the councilors have said basically the same thing, that's part of the job description. So tell me, have you been endorsed by any organizations? And if so, which organizations?
Yes, absolutely. You can definitely check more on my website. Let's see how many I can recollect here. So I'm endorsed by Our Revolution, Cambridge, and then the Cambridge Residents Alliance.
Mhm.
I'm endorsed by also Boston's Democratic Socialists, and let's see, Run for Something, Cambridge City Growers.
Mhm.
Hopefully, I caught most of them. If
Yep.
not, you can also check out my website as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And tell us, why don't you give us a closing statement and where people can find out more about you? And thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me, Jimmy. It's actually incredible to meet you. I'd probably say in final notes that I want you all to know that young people really do care about building these intergenerational relationships, because I'm someone who does worry about today's current generations and also my generation, because a lot of the policies we see today are going to be ones that we see the change in the developments from decades from now. And it's really our generation that's going to sit with and really see the impacts those make. So I want to be someone who actually takes the time to recognize, be in conversation, to listen, and understand how we can shape our community together, no matter what generation you're a part of. Please check out my website at votealzubi.com. It's votealzubi.com. And all my contact information's on there, so please don't hesitate to reach out, email, phone number, whatever's most comfortable for you. So thank you, Jimmy, for having me on here.
Thank you so much. And from one millennial to another, I would just like to say good luck on the campaign trail, and we will see you on the circuit. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Jimmy.